Hello Captains, this is Metaman. Today we're taking a look at the Summers, which is a steel ship which is going to be leaving the armory, and whether or not she's worth it. I've had to make a decision lately between the Stalingrad, the Plymouth, and the Summers. Most that watch my videos know that I'm a little stronger in my destroyers than the other two, but I have been looking at all three trying to make a decision. But I actually watched another YouTuber that broke down these videos, or these, not all three of these ships, but the Summers pretty well, and the reasons why they actually win so well, as in the Summers. The Summers and the Småland lead Tier 10 destroyers as in win rate. Summers, I believe, leads Tier 10 as in damage, but same way as the Sashio, a lot of your damage does go to cruiser and to battleship. But the reasons why the Summers, I believe, is pretty strong, because when a lot of people look at her, you're going to be comparing her to the Gearing because they have similar detection, which the Summers has 5.8 versus the Gearing has 5.8 or 5.9. The Gearing has much better AA, has DFAA. The Summers does not. What the Summers has is the extra set of torps. Now the torps on the Gearing, you have 10 of them, versus and that's 2 sets. And on the Summers, you have 3 sets of 4. So you have 2 more torps, which doesn't seem like that big a deal. But if you watch how I saturate this area right here, I'm getting ready to fire off my torps. What I believe makes the Summer strong, and stronger than the Gearing, obviously. And I like the Gearing. I have a pretty decent win rate in my Gearing also. But what makes her stronger than the Gearing is the way you're able to saturate an area with your torps. With those 3 sets of torps, you can overlay them over onto each other. Watch how I lay these right here. Then I lay one a little bit short. And the one that's short's just in case. I always do the short one, or usually do the short one, being my final set, just in case that ship slows down because he sees the torps, or he gets hit by a first one, starts to flood, and he starts to slow down. But you're able to saturate an area so much better with these 12 torps because you can mesh them better. But the Gearing has a lot better AA. She has a lot better DPM. Now see how I saturated this area? I just make that battleship disappear. Now he was down to around half health, but I was able to saturate an area better than what those 2 sets of torps from the Gearing could do, because you have the 5 torps in each set, but when you overlay them, you are going to have that wonky torpedo in the middle that you're not exactly sure which side that torpedo is going to angle off at. And with the Summers, you can just saturate that area, and you can saturate a pretty good area with those 12 torps. The reason I like her torps better than the Shima has 12 kilometer torps, which I do well in the Shima also. I think I'm like at 58% in my Shima. But the reason I think her torps are better than the Shima is kind of like how people used to use the 20 kilometer torps with the Shima. Now they don't use them anymore because the torpedo detection. But the Summers doesn't suffer from that. But people would get those really long distance torps hits that they just didn't count on. And with the Summers, you don't have to worry about that because you don't have that far detection. You have, I think it's 1.8, 1.7 is your detection on your torpedoes. On the 20 kilometer torps on the Shima is like 2.5. Here, I went into the cap. I made sure that I didn't let them completely finish the cap. I I don't care if I kill this ship or not that I spot in here. I'm just trying to get some defensive flags, deter him from starting to get in here or finish us up. But watch, now I've reloaded my torps, and this is another thing with these torps. Okay, you're going to see me go the other direction. Watch how I aim these torps when I end up trying to kill this Holland. I don't want a gunfight with this Holland. There's not a chance. I have horrible DPM, horrible. So I set out these torps. Watch how I saturated this area with these torps. All 12 of those. I can make them mesh really well. And there's really nowhere for this Holland to go. So if you get somebody up close, you always got to worry about whether or not they can bob and weave through your torps. You really don't have that as much with, say, the Summers, or say if you got really close to a Shima, you're probably going to eat those torps. I'm sure everybody that plays DD has eaten those Shima torps when you get up close, and they can saturate an area with those 3 sets. So right there, 2 kills with my torps, basically. Your DPM is horrible. Your DPM is like 144,000. Now, the Shimas is a little worse at 137,000. But you look at my gearing, I haven't looked at my modules on the gearing, but my gearing was set up, and I think it's at 219,000 DPM. So it's a huge difference, huge difference. But here's why these little bitty numbers make a difference on the Summers. And when you're playing them, you really don't notice it, as in with the Shima or with the Summers. But when you look at the gearing, 36 kilometers speed-wise. You look at the Smalland and you look at the Holland, 35 kilometers speed-wise. Now, obviously, the Marceau and the Kleber is going to just blow you out of the water. But remember those numbers, 35 kilometers an hour. 36 kilometers an hour. Z52 is 37.5 kilometers an hour. Well, the Summers, the gearing was 36 kilometers an hour. The Summers is 38.6 base. You look at the Shima, 39. The reason why the Shima and the Summers has survivability, they have low health. And they're not really looking to gunfight. But what they have is they have a lower detection. Shima smokes Summers on detection. But Shima really doesn't want a gunfight with the Summers. The Summers doesn't really want a gunfight with too many. Just maybe try to create a fire from inside their smoke. Right there. Almost got the kill. Didn't quite. Well, actually, this one I am going to finish her off with the flooding. But the Shima and the Summers do a good job with that speed of being able to avoid those fights that they don't want to fight. Now the Khabarovsk is going to be another DD that's going to outspeed you. But really, you only want to pick fights when it's a really low DD, or if you want to get really close to them and saturate an area with your torpedoes. Because I've heard in other videos, and I really watched a few videos by this YouTuber named Maro, M-A-R-O. If you're looking for good information, as in he seems to be a pretty good numbers guy, and he's put up some pretty good graphs. He had them on the Summers. He has it on the Smalland. He has a couple on the Smalland or Summers. He's actually the one that talked me into getting the Summers. Now I didn't talk to him personally, not yet, but as in throwing out the reasons why the Summers is doing well. Now he had a couple things he didn't really have an answer for. But I play a lot of different DDs, and I kind of put one and one together, as in he didn't bring up the speed difference, he didn't bring up the little bit of detection difference, but I think they make a big difference when you stack those together with a little bit better speed. Well, 2 kilometer speed better overall versus most of them, 2-3 kilometer speed better. So that's pretty good speed difference. And you add in, you have better concealment. That's going to help you avoid those fights. But as in overall DPM, as in your guns, they are bad. You and the Shima are really bad on DPM. 137,000 on the Shima, 144 or 41, one of the two, on the Summers. You do have those 8 guns, so you would have the Alpha Strike on your guns versus, say, the Gearing if you just wanted to pop one off and go around the corner. But I would probably just do it going around the corner. I wouldn't try to pop off a shot and maybe go into your smoke, but other than that, you're not going to disappear fast enough to make up for that DPM, the DPM that you're missing. Now, you do have horrible AA, and I've made plenty of videos where I minimize my plane damage, as in what I receive while I'm in my French and while I'm in other DDs. Throughout this battle, I do a pretty good job of avoiding the CV. Here, you have the CV come over here, and one reason I believe that, now this is just my personal opinion, other people could have a different one, but against the FDR, I'm not really too worried about the FDR when I'm in, say, my DDs, because I isolate ships, because I only let them spot me when I want to be spotted, or I'm willing to be spotted. As in, if he wants to waste all his time and come hunt me, I can go in my smoke. If he wants to waste all his time and come hunt me, specifically FDR, because the agility on those planes are so bad that he only can attack 1 out of every 25 seconds. He can only attack if you are spotted before he gets there, because his agility on those planes are horrible. I kind of consider myself a pretty good DD player and an amateur at CVs, so I kind of get what they're looking to do, and I know what I'm looking to do in either class. But you've seen that I've done most of my damage with my torpedoes. You see me just over and over again finding ships going by islands, and that's definitely a mistake on their part. Your guns, you can use them to try to create a fire. You can use them to try to finish off a ship. Anybody that watches my videos knows that I'm more of a gunboat DD, maybe not gunboat as in stereotypical, but I'm a DD killer overall, as in I hunt DDs to kill them. Now in this ship, I'm not going to be hunting DDs to kill them, but I think that she's definitely going to be pretty strong. But you have the detection advantage against everybody except the Shima, maybe the Yingling. I can't remember, I didn't look her up. But you're going to have the speed advantage, you're going to have the concealment advantage. Your torpedoes go, on average, much further than the other Tier 10 DDs. The Holland and you are going to have pretty long torpedoes, but yours are going to hit a ton harder. But I've only had a handful of games in her, but I am kind of big on looking at the number differences, as in the detection, the concealment. I think this is a very important ship to have your RPF, which I do on most of my DDs. But this is Meta_Man 2002. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I definitely endorse getting this Summers. She is a very strong ship in the hands of someone that can be conservative with decisions and attacking when need be. So you guys have a great day.